Adventure 3: The Heart of the Highlands. A Leap into Scotland. The jungle was quiet. Not the usual kind of quiet, like when the birds were just waking up or the rain was beginning to fall. This was peaceful quiet, the kind that made you want to lie back on a warm rock and stare at the clouds. And that's exactly what Greeny was doing. He lay on his back, belly full of mango slices, watching the clouds drift lazily by. They looked like frogs and fish, and one even looked like the crane he had met in Japan. Greeny smiled. He had been home for a few days now, and already his satchel was filling up with treasures: Nura's golden star from Morocco, the wooden wind chime from the crane. Each one was a memory, a reminder of where he'd been and who he was becoming. His friends gathered around often, asking for new stories. He told them about cherry blossoms, folded paper cranes, and koi fish that shimmered like sunlight. But even as he shared, Greeny could feel it. The compass was stirring. He pulled it from his bag and watched the needle spin, slower than usual this time. It almost seemed to hesitate. And then, click, the needle pointed northwest. Greeny stood. "Guess it's time," he said, tightening the strap of his satchel. The jungle waved him goodbye as golden light began to swirl around him. Whoosh! He was gone. Greeny landed with a soft thump in the middle of a wide, windy hill. He blinked. The air was cool and damp. The sky was cloudy, but soft rays of sunshine peeked through in patches. All around him stretched green hills, dotted with sheep, stone fences, and wild purple flowers. Somewhere in the distance, bagpipes echoed faintly. "Whoa," he whispered. "Where am I?" The wind tugged gently at his satchel. He reached inside and felt the chime. It tinkled faintly. Greeny followed the sound. He walked along a narrow trail that twisted between hills and rocks, leading him to a small village nestled by a loch, a wide, still lake that shimmered like glass. There were cozy cottages with thatched roofs and smoke curling gently from chimneys. And on the edge of the village sat a small girl with red curls tucked beneath a green bonnet. She wore a tartan scarf and held a bag of oats in one hand and a worried expression on her face. Greeny hopped closer. "Hi," he said gently. "Are you okay?" She looked up, startled at first, then surprised to see a talking frog, but not scared. "I'm Isla," she said, "and, well, I've lost my Highland cow." "Your what?" "My cow," she explained. "Her name's Bonnie. She's shaggy and slow, but very sweet. I was leading her to the loch for a wash, but the gate swung open and—" She pointed to the hills. "She ran that way." Greeny stood tall. "Well then, let's go find Bonnie." The two set off toward the hills, calling her name. Bonnie. Greeny learned a lot from Isla as they searched. She told him about Scottish legends, like selkies that turned into seals and fairies that danced in moonlight. "Some say the hills whisper secrets," she said, "but you have to be still to hear them." They found hoofprints in the mud and tufts of reddish hair caught on a low fence. They climbed over mossy rocks and through thickets of heather. After a while, they came upon an old stone bridge with carvings in the sides. Greeny paused. There was something different about the air here. The wind had shifted. It was humming. He pulled out his wind chime. It twinkled lightly, then louder. The compass began to glow. "Bonnie must be close," he said. Isla nodded. "She loves music. I play her lullabies on my flute." They crossed the bridge and followed the chime's sound to a small grove where sunlight streamed through the trees like golden ribbons. There, standing calmly among the flowers, was a huge shaggy cow with curved horns, a mop of auburn hair, and the gentlest eyes Greeny had ever seen. "Bonnie!" Isla cried. The cow turned slowly, blinked once, then walked up to Isla and nudged her shoulder. Greeny laughed. "She is sweet." As they walked back to the village, the sky began to clear. Isla handed Greeny something from her satchel, a small stone carved with a Celtic knot. "It's for protection," she said, "and for remembering your journey." Greeny placed it beside the other treasures in his bag. When they reached the village, the bagpipes were playing louder now, and people were gathering for the evening ceilidh, a kind of Scottish celebration with dancing, music, and stories. Greenie stayed just long enough to dance a silly jig with Isla and share a story about Nera and the monkey's riddle. And then, the compass began to hum. It glowed gently, casting a circle of golden light around him. Greenie turned to Isla. "Thank you for the adventure," she smiled. "You're always welcome here." He waved one last time, and then, whoosh! The wind lifted him high into the sky, spinning softly toward the next horizon. What would he find next? Another friend? Another lesson? Another whisper in the wind? Greenie didn't know. But he was learning that everywhere had magic if you listened closely enough. And he couldn't wait to listen again.